Record. Yay.
So, at the top here, I was gonna read to you
Oops.
today's little nugget of wisdom from
Oh, yes. The
my
yogi. Is it?
my yogi tea.
Yes.
Even a journey of 1,000 miles starts with damn it, I messed it up.
It's say that again.
Even a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a first step.
No. That's cute.
Yep, and then I take a sip.
Yeah,
Got to DIY. Oh, baby, you know why. Well, if you got the time, I'm gonna give it a try. But before you start, we got advice for you all. If you got to hammer, then you got to solve. Baby, please, don't look out that wall. Don't look out that wall. Please do not look out that wall. Really bad idea.
Love it. So how things been?
It's pretty good. Just
Good.
I mean, it's funny how time is relative, of course.
Yeah.
And so it feels like a really long time ago that I was wearing 6 layers. And, of course, we went out, took a walk today, and I was in short sleeves and shorts.
It started out pretty cold, but this afternoon it felt amazing.
I know, it's crazy.
It really did. I was over at the flip earlier and I had like all the doors open.
Yeah.
And had a couple windows open and it was amazing. There were mosquitoes came in.
That blows.
Yeah. Like they shouldn't be here. This isn't time.
Doesn't
This
even
isn't
sound like they
time.
were invited. They just sort of barged in.
They were definitely not invited. They asked no questions. I guess they saw the open door and
Yeah.
went with it. But that's okay. It happens.
It does. So anyway, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another fantastic episode of Don't Knock Out That Wall.
It's going to be a good one. I'm pretty excited about this.
Oh, you are?
Yes.
I'm also excited.
Good.
I was looking forward to hearing the knowledge dropping that you will be doing. I don't know. I don't think I should put it that way. All the deuces of knowledge that you will be dropping. That made it worse.
See, that made it worse. I feel like we can drop. We can't drop deuces. Okay, we can drop knowledge, but not deuces.
Yeah, it's preferable just to drop the knowledge.
Not
drop the needle. I like dropping needles.
Drop the needle, but we're not making music.
No, not yet. Oh my God!
You just spilled your coffee.
No, I just burned my tongue really bad.
Your tea may be hot, by the way.
I'm gonna take the lid. I was trying to take the lid off to let it. So the problem here, ladies and gentlemen, is that I wanted my tea to remain warm, but of course it did. But then I didn't expect it to be that warm because I put it in an insulated mug with the lid on.
Yeah.
Usually I pour my coffee in the morning and then I don't drink it for an hour. So it's good by then. That's not what just happened.
And when did you? Yeah, when did you pour your tea?
About 10 minutes ago.
Yeah. What did we learn?
Don't do that.
Okay, so today, the shingles.
Yes, you have shingles.
Talk about the shingles.
Yeah. We've just switched formats. It's now going to be a medical podcast.
With all the vaccinating talk, I feel like we really need to get the shingles in front of us because it could come back around, man. It could come back around, and they are not fun to have.
I tell you what, there was this one guy that I didn't even know him. I just knew somebody that knew him. I think he lived in my dorm or something.
Mhm.
But like he was telling us one time about how he had just recovered from the shingles, and I don't think I'd ever heard of it before. And his attitude was so nonchalant too, like, it's just the shingles. But it sounded a lot worse than what he was making it out to be.
Anybody that I've heard that has had the shingles says it's horrible.
Yeah,
It's so much worse than the chickenpox.
I had those, and I was out of school for a week.
Yeah, I remember having them and they sucked, but I feel like I was too young to really remember.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was in third grade, and I think I had to go to the hospital, but I think it might have been from dehydration. I'm not sure. But yeah, I was in the hospital for a day, I think.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
That's intense.
it was. But anyway, psych. We're not actually talking about shingles. We're talking about
Oh yeah. We're talking about shingles.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah. Not the shingles, but we're talking about shingles.
right. Oh,
Yes.
okay. This is another funny thing. Totally not related, but this is a random thought that I had in my head. I have to tell you about. So I texted our mutual friend Jonathan, my former roommate,
Yes.
because I
Yes.
had a thought in my head.
I know,
I had to,
Jonathan. And
yeah, I had
you have thoughts in your head at times.
I do
He
all the
needs to
time,
know.
and I
Yes.
had to. I tell him all the time these weird things. But this is the thought that I have in my head, and I'm basically just recounting what I texted him. I said, "Your name is Jonathan. Lots of people call you John. Even I call you John.
Hmm.
My dad's name is also John, but in my head there are two different names. Like Jonathan John is different from John John. I don't. It's isn't that funny how in the brain it's maybe just because it's assigned, I guess, to this different person. It's two different names to me.
I don't know. I think you're weird on that one.
Well, that's why I had to share it. Just to
Maybe
see.
we'll throw out like a poll. Like,
Yeah.
is the Jonathan John different than the John John? And then I'm thinking about toilet John.
Oh,
So
see, yeah. That
that's a
hopefully that's different.
that's definitely a different John.
So email us at dontknockoutthatwall@gmail.com and tell us which John are you.
And do you think of different Johns when you hear the the name John,
Yeah.
or do you not think of different Johns?
Just lay it out. Tell us exactly what you think.
Let us know.
Yeah.
I've yeah. I don't know
We're not gonna know until you tell us.
exactly. And thanks in advance for telling us how it is
Yeah,
with the
yeah.
Johns. Okay, so that's a John story. Let's get back to a shingle story.
Yes. And go. We're starting. Beginning of the podcast.
The shingles. I think we're gonna um, because the note was mainly for cleaning shingles.
Mm-hmm.
If your shingles are dirty, I think it may go into like just kind of roofs and re-roofing and doing a little bit of that too.
That's good that you say that because that was where my mind was going to go because I definitely had questions for you if
About
they didn't already
roofs.
come up, but I think you're ahead of me on this one.
Okay. Well, would you rather start with your question on roofs or go into maintaining shingles?
No, I want to know what you're going to say first.
Well, I was going to say first was it depends on what you want.
any, any
How do you want this
questions?
conversation to go?
Well, okay. My first question is so I live under a bunch of trees.
Yes.
And so I've seen people that have moss growing on their shingles.
Yes.
Um, how do you get rid of that? And is that bad?
Okay, so yes, you don't want moss growing. So a lot of times when people see a roof, they'll think a roof is really old or dirty, and there's actually a an algae slash bacteria that grows on roofs pretty commonly.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
So you can see like if you have a new roof, it's all one color. Let's say it's a gray roof. It's a very light, bright gray, clean. And then you look at the house next door, it's supposed to be the same color, but there are all these kinds of like, I guess, lines, like watermarks,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just grungy and that kind of stuff. That's
Yeah.
actually more than likely a bacteria that's grown on it. And it's not a deteriorating roof. So the algae, the bacteria, and the moss are, uh, let's go ahead and group them all into the same little circle here.
Okay.
Um, and say that that's the algae growing on your roof. Trees make it worse because it's in the shade. Moisture hanging on. So if you have an area of your roof where maybe the pitch isn't correct, or you have like a lot of leaves that build up in an area and it stays wet more than it should,
Mm-hmm.
or you have gutters that are clogged up. So you have like a little eave or a corner where the gutters are clogged up and water stays on the roof for a little bit longer than the rest of the roof. You're going to see that algae grow more in those areas.
Okay.
So making sure your gutters are clean, making sure leaves and everything are off, and of course, getting rid of trees are going to help this. Um, I would say getting rid of trees would be a last resort, depending on how much you have to fight the algae and the moss growing on it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm a fan of trees,
Yeah.
right?
No.
They
Yeah.
they help.
That's what I
You know,
like about our neighborhood. There are a lot of tall, old trees and
a lot
stuff.
of tall old trees, yeah. As long as they're not like dead trees or dead branches, you want to take care of those for sure because those have a hazard to fall on your roof.
Yeah.
As long as nothing is touching your roof, because if you have a limb touching your roof, whenever the wind blows, that limb is going to just rake across your roof and over time ruin those shingles. So you don't want anything touching it. Um, and of course, it has that shade that will, shady, moisturized places. I don't want to say moist because a lot of people cringe on that one, right?
Yeah.
Damp, shady, damp areas.
Do you want me to bleep those out for a certain listener?
You can bleep the M word. That's fine. I couldn't think of damp early enough
Yeah.
before I actually said the M word, and I apologize to all of my M word cringing peeps out there. Specifically, my wife. That's really the only one that I
Right. Yeah.
would apologize to. The rest of you, come on, it's just a word. Get over it.
She's not alone, but I would bleep it if
She's not, and that's blows my mind. But anyway, um,
so yeah, damp areas.
damp areas, trees, is probably going to be your biggest thing. Of course, over time, just it happens, and you'll see it. It's kind of funny that if there's like a chimney or something that blocks, or you have like a what are those called? Those things that stick out the windows, dormers. Thank you. Yes, if you have like a dormer or a chimney, you can tell like there's a really light spot where the rain or the water doesn't really go down
Yeah. Okay.
and the area doesn't get as wet as everything else. So it looks clean in that one spot, but everything else looks dirty. And you think you need a new roof, but you really don't. So those can actually just be cleaned. And I would recommend hiring a professional company that does that because you don't want to get up there and pressure wash your roof because
Yeah.
that will screw it up.
Yeah. That does sound like it would be a bad
Um,
idea.
yeah, because you've got all the, especially on an asphalt shingle, That's the most common here. If you have like a metal roof or one of those clay tile roofs or something crazy like that,
Yeah.
I really don't know if it grows on those. Probably does.
I would maybe on the clay stuff it might be more porous, but the
Yeah.
metal, I'm not sure about the metal.
Maybe it won't grow on the metal.
Yeah.
But anyway, roofs are dangerous to be on in general. And then if you're like trying to wash it off, it's going to be completely wet and you've got to walk the entire surface of your roof.
Mm-hmm.
So that's dangerous. I would hire a company. They have special chemicals that they spray on there. And when they spray them off, it's not really pressure washing it. It
Yeah.
might be pressure washing it, but it's a really low pressure to keep your shingles intact and it won't damage them. So basically, just a bacteria removal chemical is
Okay.
what they use,
Yeah.
and that will do wonders. Like a company doing that is pretty much the same as somebody coming out and pressure washing your deck or a fence or your driveway when it looks like crap. I'd
Mm-hmm.
compare the two side by side, like pretty common that's the kind of result you're going to get when you get somebody to come out and de-algicide your roof.
De-algicide your loof.
De the loof?
I don't know why I said loof.
Did you say loof?
De-algicide the loof. It almost sounds like I'm speaking a different language. The loof. The loof. The loof is on fire.
Is that some German that you've learned recently? I'm not going to finish that sentence, by the way.
It's good.
Okay.
It's starting to all run together because I haven't practiced German in so long. So it's just like now I can just like it starts coming out and I'm like I don't know if that's German or gibberish. You know?
Okay. It probably depends on how you say it,
Yeah.
right? And then it's anybody that doesn't know German will be like, "Was that German? That sounded like German accent." So that's a big thing. And once you have that sprayed off, either after washing the bacteria off a current roof or ways to prevent it on a new roof, here are a couple of cool tips that you can have. Of course, again, cleaning the gutters, making sure leaves are off the roof for the moisture.
Mm-hmm.
That's good ways to prevent it. They also make a like a mildew protectant sealant that you can spray on your roof
Yeah.
that keeps bacteria and algae from forming on it. One of the cool things that I've learned is copper keeps this bacteria from growing on your roofs.
Okay.
And what they can do is basically at the peak of your roof, at the very top, you can put either like a copper top or they make copper strips right below the peak. And that's all you have to do is just put it at the very top. And when it rains, there's something about the material or the chemicals in copper that I want to say it like electrons it or something like that.
Okay.
Like it does something with the magnetic stuff. I could be
Yeah.
way off on this, but it does something like that with the copper. And so basically when it rains, it hits the very top of the roof, that copper, and the water runs whatever prevents algae all the way down your roof. So it basically like continuously coats your roof with whatever keeps it from growing the algae.
Yeah.
I have to look that up. What does copper do? I feel like it has something to do with like electrons and stuff.
Maybe it's because I guess when copper oxidizes, it turns green. It might be something to do with that.
There's something there.
Side note: I put out a third episode on Monday, or at least I just posted it on the 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 website.
Nice.
I hadn't posted it on Facebook, but it since it was posted on the website, it went to the iTunes and the Spotify feed.
Yay.
Um, but I haven't been having fun interjecting little things in the middle,
Yeah.
uh, like you know, fact checks and stuff like that.
Oh yeah. So this could be a good fat check
Yeah, yeah.
that you add. Yeah.
Because I made a little I mean, so I have the theme song, and so then I took the theme song and just changed the instrumentation. Because in GarageBand, you can just click on a track and then change what instrument's playing.
Oh, that's cool.
And so in the theme songs, and it's the piano, and so then I just changed it to like some Latin percussion. So it's like, I was having a lot of fun.
That's awesome. And that's in the third one?
I think I've done it in the second one and the
Is
third
that in
one.
the
I don't
second
know
one
if I
too?
did one. Yeah, because the second one we had that debate about creosote.
Oh yes.
Yeah, well, it wasn't really a debate. We were just like, what is creosote?
What is creosote? So yeah. Now we can okay, yeah, you can add that in there and try to figure out why exactly copper
I'm
is
hoping
is the best.
this is I'm diverting just a little bit here, but my hope is that people will like the little things, little snippets of music that I make, and just by listening to the show, and so then they'll be like, "Hey, can you make a theme song for my thing?" I
Ooh,
would
there you
really
go.
really like that. In fact, I just had a friend of mine that I reached out to because his kids are making little videos. And he was like, "Hey, does anybody know how to make a logo?" And I was like, "I don't know how to make a logo, but I can make you a theme song." And he's like, "Yeah, make me a theme song." So
Awesome.
yeah, and they live in Vancouver, Washington, which is outside of Portland, so I can get some Northwest exposure.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So just trying to do a quick Google. Yeah, you're right. It has something to do with oxidizing it.
Okay. Cool.
And so they make tons of different copper stuff that you can put on your roof
Mm-hmm.
itself, like different flashings and boards. And they just, there's even a tape. I don't know how well I would trust that.
Mm.
So there's plenty of like do it yourself type
Cool.
things that you can buy to put on your roof. And again, it's at the very top pitch of your roof, and the
Yeah.
rainwater just runs everything down your roof. And so it coats the whole thing. And it's supposed to be really good at preventing bacteria.
Have you used anything like that before, or is this something you've just found out about? Or?
No, I've never used it. It's something that I learned about, I don't know, within the past probably year ish.
Yeah.
But I've never really had like a house that had a lot of that on it.
Oh, okay.
Um, I have a house now that I need it cleaned because it has that stuff on it,
Yeah.
and which we can get to a little bit later on. But I'm kind of back and forth on either just cleaning it or trying to get the insurance company to replace the roof
Yeah.
from hail damage. So we
Oh.
can we can get into that with replacing roofs
Hell
in
yeah.
a here in a moment.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually wrote down a note of, just specifically about damage that I've experienced with a roof, so we can get to
Mhm.
anecdotes there.
Mhm. Yeah, and I think that's about all that I have on the bacteria itself. So I guess kind of to sum it up, if you think your roof looks like crap and is old, it could just be the bacteria on there, and it just needs to be cleaned off.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if we've said things like this before, but it's always good to uh, to check every different avenue before you go throwing money at stuff because roofs are expensive. They're
They're
like ten
expensive.
thousand dollars if you get a new roof.
Yep, they're expensive. Okay, so let's transition into getting a new roof. And how do you know if you have a roof? Right?
How do you know if you well?
Have let me. What did I say?
I could tell you some fun tips right now of how to find out if you have a roof with Matt. Tip one: look up.
Can't believe I said that. Um, okay, that's a good tip. You have what's another one?
Go outside.
Go outside. Okay,
I guess then look up.
then look up
Yeah.
at your house.
Yeah.
Okay,
Climb to the top of your house. If you fall
um,
to the bottom of your house, you don't have a roof.
you don't have a roof.
Ask a friend
You
or a
know,
neighbor.
every time like something happens and somebody says something like, "There's only one way to find out," I'm always like, I try to spit out as many ways to find out as I can, like really quick.
Yeah. I mean, you can always add the step ask a friend to most things.
Pretty much,
So
yeah,
that's already two things.
yeah. There's never one way for anything.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, how to know if you need a new roof? Is that what I
There you
meant to
go.
say?
I think that's what you meant to say. I was with you.
I don't even I don't know what I said.
I'm
I
sorry.
still don't. Just from your response, I know it wasn't correct.
Okay, so how do you know if you need a roof? Yes. We do want
Okay.
to talk about that.
Yeah, let's do it.
Wait, did I just say something dumb too? How do you know if you need a roof?
Oh goodness.
Step one.
Do you have a roof?
Oh.
Okay.
All right, we can start over if you want.
Yes.
Welcome to.
That was reversing, by the way.
Oh, it
A little
sounded
sound
like
effect.
sounded like a cat in reverse, but
Still reversing.
yeah.
Still work. Okay. So really, I would pretty much just go straight to a roofer and ask. And don't be scared of this because there's plenty of, I guess, like patchwork type thing that you could get away with.
Yeah.
Maybe you think you need a new roof, but it's really just dirty and you just need to spray it off.
Mm-hmm.
The best case scenario, if you do have, or if you do need a new roof, they can come out there and claim hail damage and get your insurance to replace it.
Okay.
There are actually, I know of a couple here in town, roofing companies that specifically do this. Like they work with that's kind of like their marketing thing is working with your insurance company to get you a new roof. And I tell clients this all the time as a realtor, people trying to sell their house and you can just look at it or they know they've lived in the house for 20 years and they haven't replaced the roof.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, I don't know. I think it was kind of old when we bought it, but we haven't replaced it. We haven't had any leaks or anything, right? Or it just looks crappy, or their shingles missing is a good sign that maybe you need a new roof. And you can contact these companies. You can contact either your insurance company first and say, hey, I think I need a new roof. And they can send somebody out, or you can contact a roofer and they can say, yeah, it's been hail damaged. And they can write a report and you can bring that to your insurance company. And depending on your insurance company, they can just completely replace it with nothing charged to you. Some insurance companies have a standard deductible, like the 500 or $1,000, just like any other claim to your house.
Yeah.
Some insurance companies actually have a special deductible specifically for replacing the roof,
Oh,
which if they do that, it's probably going to be a little bit higher. But either way, if your insurance does this, it is much cheaper than paying out of pocket for a brand new roof. And again, I'm with clients selling their house. If you know you need a new roof, I'm like, contact a roofer and see if you can get the insurance company to replace this before you put it on the market, because a brand new roof is a big deal.
yeah.
And then the buyers can just find something else to complain about, but they're not complaining about a $10,000 roof.
True, true.
Yeah.
There's like 4 people on my street that have gotten a new roof since we've lived here. It just seems like it's been a kind of a trend lately, I've noticed.
It could be, especially if like a hailstorm came through the neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Like again, these roofing companies, there's actually apps. I know a roofer that uses an app pretty regularly to track hailstorms, and he can put in a certain address in this app and it can tell you like how many hailstorms have hit that house in the last X amount of years.
Wow.
And then he can take that data straight to the insurance company and be like, okay, this roof obviously has hail damage because there have been 4 hailstorms in the past 2 years.
Yeah.
You need to replace it.
Cool.
So it's really interesting, and a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people are really skeptical, like, I don't want another hit on my insurance, and it's going to do that, and they're not going to replace it, and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, I've seen more times than not insurance companies replacing them for, your smallest deductible or completely free for the homeowner.
This is important information that I didn't know, and now I'm thinking of people that also need to know this, like my brother, who has a older house than me, but recently he and I were talking about how he probably is going to need a new roof. And
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. And if you do get a new roof, so some things, if you are getting a new roof itself, um, here I'm going to quote code, but I'm also going to do the disclaimer that I'm not a code guy.
yeah. Should we have a
And
little tag for every time we have to give a disclaimer?
I don't know, like I'm not a professional in this area. Consult somebody that knows what they're doing.
And you're like the micro machines guy in the background.
Oh, they can like spit out a 30-second commercial in 2 seconds, like
Yeah.
really speed it up. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we do need some of that. We'll hopefully we don't get sued, but if we get sued, we'll really look into that.
Yeah.
Okay. I have E&O insurance from just being a realtor, so I don't know if that carries on to random podcasts.
I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, I could find out at some point. But anyway, to get back to it in this area that I've heard from multiple roofers, code is no more than 2 layers of shingles on a house.
Mm.
And I know roofers personally that will put more than two layers of shingles on a house if you ask them.
Really?
It's a quick weekend job when code enforcers aren't out. But yes, they'll do it. So I've met them in the flip business, and they're like, "Okay, so you're flipping this house? Yeah. It looks like it's got 2 layers. You want me to come on the weekend and just put a third layer on real quick, or do you want me to take these off and charge you double for everything?" And of course, I was like, "You got to take it off and do it right, you
Yeah.
know."
I mean, why would you even
Of
think about
course.
doing
Why would
opposite
you
of
ask
that?
me that? Do you not know me at all? And even 2 layer. And on the other hand, I know roofers that basically won't even put a second layer on.
Yeah.
They're like, no matter what, they're taking the roof completely off. And so there's 2 reasons for that. One, probably having 3 layers of shingles is just so heavy on your roof itself. It's a
Yeah.
weight issue.
Yeah.
And plus, you've got 20, 40 plus years of shingles underneath it on the first layer. So there's no telling how deteriorating it is.
Hmm.
But the weight itself is a big thing. And if you're getting a new roof, definitely just completely take the old roof off. And that way the roofer can look at the plywood underneath the roof and replace any damaged, if it's like water damaged or anything like that. They can replace that before they actually put a new roof on.
Yeah.
So the plywood on the roof, the that rubber stuff that they put underneath the shingles, all new, right? And then the shingles themselves,
Yeah.
little barrier underneath. So it's always good to take it down to scratch and make sure it's good from the foundation up when you're talking about the roof, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, I think that's about all all the tips I have offhand.
I'm trying to remember all the details of this. I just remember it was not a pleasant memory because my grandpa used to have a rent house in Fort Smith.
Mm-hmm.
And so, especially when I got older, I mean, he would come if he was in town, he would come and see me and his sister in law, just, I mean, he's usually stay with my great grandma, Um, so all these people in the area, he'd come and see us because he's a very
Mm-hmm.
sociable guy, but he'd also come into town to work on this rent house.
Yeah.
And I seem to remember once him having me help take the extra layers of shingles off of um, the roof, and I remember him not being very pleased with the fact that there were so many layers. And I
Mm-mm.
was kind of pissed too because I was out there having to throw all the shingles in the back of his truck that he was throwing off the roof. And
Okay, so you weren't on the roof.
no, he wasn't.
Okay, so that's good. I'm like, I would hate to do it. Roofing is one thing that I would really hate to do.
Yeah, I don't want to. That's
Yeah.
the one thing that I feel like I would only get up there if it was like a huge emergency.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was just trying to clean my gutters and feeling like I was risking my neck. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh yeah. I mean, getting on my roof personally just to hang Christmas lights
yeah,
is just like, okay, let's see if I'm gonna, fall off and break a neck today.
yeah. I was up there trying to figure out how to. Cause the gutters on the backside of my house are really high, because I'm kind of on a slope there,
Yeah, yeah.
and so I remember considering climbing up to the top of my ladder to get up there, and then I was like, I don't really want to do this. And then I thought, if I did have to, how do I keep from falling? Like, do I open the window and tie myself to the stove or something? I don't, you know?
Huh. Yeah, it's a dangerous job,
Yeah,
and shout out to all the roofers
for sure.
because that's something we don't have guts to do.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, so definitely don't put multiple layers of shingles on there.
Yeah.
2 at the most. And of course, I would highly recommend going like architectural shingles or even a metal roof. So the architectural shingles are rated to last a whole lot longer than probably your common, what's known as like a 3-tab shingle,
Mm-hmm.
which is going to be your basic. And I'd have to look it up, but I want to say the normal shingles are going what 20ish years, so they're close to being replaced at like 15
Yeah.
years. And your architectural shingles might could do like 25 to 30, but really 20 to 25, you're going to be looking to replace them pretty soon.
Yeah.
And you can tell if you have them, I guess you can tell by looking which shingles you have on your roof.
Mm-hmm.
You've got to kind of know what you're looking for. But if the shingles are, and now these are asphalt shingles,
Mm-hmm.
and the architectural ones have a whole lot of, I guess, depth and not really repetitiveness to them.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like, I don't know, they're like thicker, and the shingles themselves look like different sizes. You see some big ones and some kind of small ones, and that kind of like, it's kind of hard to explain. You've got to see it.
Yeah.
But you can look up images like the difference between an architectural shingle and a regular shingled house. And your regular shingled house is going to be much more flat looking on the shingles, and all the shingles are going to be the same size. And so that way you can kind of know what you're looking at.
Yeah. What makes up a shingle? Now you're talking about asphalt, and I know that. I mean, that's definitely kind of the material that's sort of on the top, right? As like, I mean, that definitely repels water for sure.
Yeah,
But what else is it made out of?
I don't know. Hmm.
So my neighbor across the
Yeah.
street, you
Mm.
said metal roof. She was actually telling me that she wanted to get a metal roof. Didn't
Hmm.
know she was wanting to get a new roof. She's been in that house for a long time and it needs repairs. Um, I mean,
There are. Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I guess depending on what kind of metal roof, they're kind of noisy, aren't they?
I've never been inside, so I'm kind of back and forth on this. I mean, if you have a metal roof, you've got your whole attic space, you've got insulation and everything like that. I don't know if a metal roof is going to be similar to, you're thinking like of an old style house with a like a sheet metal roof,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Uh huh.
Like that tin,
Yeah.
and it's really loud. I've never been in one, so I don't know. But I'm gonna say that I don't think that it's got that same sound to it.
Okay.
I want to say that the metal itself is a whole lot thicker, so it's not gonna be so loud.
Mm-hmm.
And then of course, you've got multiple layers of wood underneath it, then you've got your insulation and all this kind of stuff before you actually get inside your house.
That makes sense.
So that's kind of what I was thinking. And they have metal roofs that look like shingles.
Okay.
So there's a wide range of metal roofs, and they keep coming out with more stuff, and they're pretty cool. So
I'm gonna have to look into that. I'd be pretty interested. I at least I want things like that whenever we build our own house. Like I want it to be efficient. I want the design to be efficient. I want the materials to be sustainable if they can be, in
yeah,
certain ways. I
yeah.
mean, um,
And
I
I want to
haven't.
say that those are like 50 plus years
Oh yeah.
metal roofs. Yeah.
Okay.
You can fact check me that. Fact you can fact check me on that.
Like the remix. Fact for
Yep.
fact. I don't have to.
Hmm. Yeah. So they're really good, especially if you are in an area where it does like hail a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It would be uh, very good for you, to go for a metal roof.
Okay.
But of course, if a tree falls on your house, it really doesn't matter what kind of roof you have.
Correct.
Yeah, but that's why you have insurance.
I'll just have a trampoline as my roof, so if it bounce right
Anything
off
that
to the
falls
neighbor's
on,
front,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. Trampolines aren't really water resistant, though. Heads
that's
up.
true. Well, I mean, these are just my initial ideas. I haven't thought it through yet. Um,
No, I like the thought of bouncing off. It's going to be a lot more safer going up there and walking around, I would assume, on a trampoline, because then you can have your like bare feet and socks.
that's true. I'm just picturing myself just being catapulted off my roof.
You know what? Maybe it's more dangerous because
Yeah.
if you try to sit down, it's going to pop you right back up and
Hmm.
even further. Yeah. And if it gets wet, yeah, you're definitely done. Okay. So I go back to the drawing board on the trampoline
Yeah.
roof.
Maybe just large amounts of taffy. Just
So it sticks to it.
I don't. For some reason, I was thinking taffy was gonna bounce, but you're right. Taffy is gonna make everything stick to it.
You're going to get so many flies.
Yeah.
Have a bright yellow roof.
It'll start out that way. I'm wondering what color
Oh,
it would
what
change
grows
to.
on that?
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay.
Speaking of roof damage, I had a small anecdote that I remember from a rent house that I lived in Conway. I lived on Duncan Street. This was back before I worked at Papa John's, but at that time I lived with someone who worked at Papa John's, but I didn't work there yet.
Interesting.
It was the first time I lived with Cameron.
Mm.
So we lived in this house and it was super old, and it was one of those houses where it had one bathroom, and the bathroom was in between the two bedrooms,
Hmm.
and it was all wood paneling. All I mean, everything seemed like it was the like original doorknobs and everything like that. Like
Yeah.
it had just recently been fashioned with central heat and air, but it leaked like a sieve. Like it just you couldn't keep that place warm or cool. It was just perfect rent house for a college student. But
Yes. Yes. That sounds like a dream for a college student.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I was sleeping one time, and it was a big storm, and we heard a lot of thunder. And that's normal for around here. In fact, sometimes I've heard thunder that would just like be right next to my head and scare the crap out of me. But
Yeah.
it was just the sound of thunder,
Yeah.
and I heard something like that, and it freaked us out. But we're like, okay, well, we'll just go back to bed. And so we woke up the next morning, and we went outside, and there was a piece of a tree that had impaled our roof.
Ugh.
And I mean, luckily it was like in the backside of the house, and so I don't even think that it had leaked anywhere. I don't know. We didn't notice anything. That's the only thing we noticed. We went outside, like, oh look, there's a tree sticking out of the
Tree
side
on
of our house. And it was funny too because this is the nice thing about being a renter. We were on our way out the house. Basically, we were on our way to take like a trip to go float to Buffalo or something like that.
Yeah.
So we get all our stuff. Oh, look, there's a limb. Hey, landlady, there's a limb sticking out of the roof. Okay, see you later. And click. And then,
Well, good job on calling your
well,
landlord,
yeah.
letting them know. Like, man, there's a tree on the house. Well, let's go on vacation. We'll deal with that when
Yeah.
we get back.
Not my problem.
Ah, huh.
Yeah, that was a. I don't know if that house had any attic space at all. I know it had a crawl space, which I never went into. Um,
Yeah.
but
Surely it did.
yeah, probably it somehow. But I never bothered to try to get up there. I don't think there was any entrance to it inside the house.
Yeah.
So,
Hmm. Fun stuff.
but yeah,
Yeah.
the harrowing experience. I can't think of anything else like that really scared me. I've never been in a house where anything else came through the roof like that.
No, I can't think of anything either. Coming through. No. No.
Yeah,
Trim your trees.
yeah, that's important.
It's important.
I think the city does some of that for us anyway. It's kind of nice because since it's around power lines, they take care of that.
Yeah. 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 They'll do that just to make sure that trees don't fall on the power lines and cut everything out.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
sometimes.
Probably if they're bored. Yeah. Need some way to justify their price increase.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. That's all I've got on. Let me double check. Yeah, that's all I got on this.
That's a good one. What should we call it?
I like it. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I'm naming some like as I go. We hadn't really talked about what we want to name each episode. So, if you, in fact, I can text you if you want me to check in with you and see if you. I mean, I don't know.
so far they've been pretty clever, and
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
I'm all for them. Um,
I mean, I won't ever pick anything offensive. And just if you want
yeah, I want to go like somewhere in the direction of like living with shingles or something like that.
yeah, we've all
Um,
we've all got shingles.
yeah, we've all got shingles. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like that. Yeah, how's that tea?
It was very gingery.
Is it drinkable now?
Mm-hmm. I left the lid. You're supposed to leave the lid off to let it
Oh,
cool down, and then put the lid on, and you maintain that temperature so it doesn't get cold. That's the only thing I don't like about drinking tea is that like you kind of have a very small window. If you're just drinking out of a mug,
yep,
if it's either too hot, the Goldilocks lasts for like 3 minutes, and then
yep,
it's just sludge.
yep. I found it out this not too long ago, but like reheating stuff in the microwave, um, it only like made the top small layer that temperature, like because I'd heat something up, I'd like heat up the tea and drink it and be like, okay, that's perfect.
Yeah,
And I'd get just a very little bit down there and it's almost cold. And so I found out that I had to like stir it
yeah,
and then taste it and like, well, that's too cold. You can taste it and be like, oh, that's perfect, and then stir it, and it's weird.
yeah. Thanks again for listening. This has been another fantastic episode of Don't Knock Out That Wall with Brandon and Matt. And if you want to contact us with any questions or anything like that, or if you need to let us know, we did ask that important question. We need to know what's the difference between the Johns for you. So email us at dontknockoutthatwall@gmail.com. Until the next time, this is Brandon and Matt saying, don't knock out that wall.
Don't knock out that wall.
Don't do it.
Nice. Love it. All right, man. If you need anything, let me know.
All right, you too.
All right. See ya. Yes,
Later.
sir. Do the.
Pew, 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 pew.
I keep saying like leave the meeting and wanting to do something crazy, and then it's like leave meeting. Are you sure you want to leave meeting?
It's fun.
Like Yeah, just leave it, Dick.
Don't do it. Please do not.
Don't knock out the wall!
It's a really bad idea.